Tell me about Madonna. Tell me about Madonna Hospital, and then explain to me the role that the Madonna Foundation plays with Madonna.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that. So Madonna Rehabilitation Hospitals, we have a campus in Lincoln and a campus in Omaha. We are a rehabilitation hospital that serves patients with brain injury, spinal cord injury, stroke, neurological disorders like Guillain-Barré or Lyme disease or West Nile, and then also people with complex medical issues, pulmonary issues. We take people on ventilators. We help them get back to their fullest life possible. Our patients come from all over the region. In fact, in the last 5 years, we've had patients from 45 states, Canada, Tanzania, Philippines, Indonesia. And what the Madonna Foundation does then is support the work of Madonna, because what Madonna is provided in reimbursement from Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance, private pay doesn't begin to cover the cost of what we do. There are so many things that aren't covered by insurance that we feel are really part of our mission to help people get back on the road, whatever that looks like. And so it might be some technology. We have a one-room school called Kids Academy TLC. So, if our job for adults is to get adults back to work or being a grandparent or whatever their life's roles are, our job is to get kids back to school. So we feel it's important to have a school at Madonna, but insurance says that's not our deal, and education says it's a healthcare issue. So we just raise funds to provide a school setting for our patients, our pediatric patients. And we do have pediatric patients. Our youngest patient to date, I think, has been 22 days old. And then, of course, we're basically, cradle to the end when it comes to taking care of people. So what I do then, and what our office does, is raise those funds that meet that gap, to make sure that we can. And we have a big project now. We're going to be expanding and building some new patient rooms to better meet the needs of our patients. The patients we see now are way more complex than they were even when I started here 13 years ago. In fact, our patients are in the top 2% of medical complexity in the nation. So we're getting people that are the sickest of the sick. And I don't know if you wanted to talk about it now, but we will be getting post-COVID patients here as well, both on our Omaha campus and on our Lincoln campus. Those will be patients that are, we've heard lots of stories in the media about that, how after surviving COVID-19, people are really weak, they're deconditioned, they have pulmonary issues, so lung issues. And so those are the patients that we're really good at treating anyway. And so we've created some negative pressure rooms here at both campuses to meet those needs. So that's what we're doing right now. And as in terms of the foundation, our patients continue to have those needs, whether there's a pandemic going on or not. So we continue to work on supporting the hospital.
So prior to the pandemic, what has the last couple of years looked like for Madonna? Have you had a lot of changes? Have you, I know you have a big project coming up. So what is it prior to the pandemic? What did it kind of look like for you in the hospital?
Well, that's a really good question, because probably for the last several years, we were working on raising funds to build our Omaha hospital. Then we opened our Omaha hospital. But at the same time, we also developed partnerships with UNMC, and we actually developed a residency program. So for physiatrists we call them PM&R docs, or they're the physical medicine doctors that do rehab. And there wasn't a residency program for those kinds of doctors in a 5-state region. So we collaborated with UNMC. They were thrilled to do that with us. And studies show that where you do your residency is usually where you'll end up staying as a doc. So that was really powerful for all of us. We needed more physiatrists. UNMC wanted to have physiatrists as well. They wanted to have also, Nebraska Medicine wanted to have a place where they could see a good rehab place where they could send their patients to us. And we would get about 25% of our patients from Omaha anyway. It made a lot of sense. So before that, we were working on supporting the work that we, of those things I were just talking about, like our school, raising funds for school, raising funds for adapted sports. We have a wheelchair tennis team, a wheelchair basketball team. In fact, our wheelchair basketball team just placed 5th in the nation they had like their, big dance. They're awesome. They practice out at our medical wellness facility, Proactive. Chapel, because spiritual care, what we do, it can't just be about the body, it's also about the mind and about the spirit. Working on raising funds for that Lincoln campus expansion. There's always, a need of some kind. St. Benedict Fund, which is a patient emergency fund, helping cover costs that insurance don't cover for individual patients, like medication, or we've had some patients arrive here without shoes or without clothes. They need shoes to do therapy. So, you name it, we've been raising funds for it to support our patients to help them get back to life. But I suppose the Lincoln campus expansion, in the last year, that's been a really big push. It's a big project. Some of those patient rooms that we've been using were built in 1971. And they don't really address the needs of our patients that we receive now. It's just a whole different deal.
How has this impacted Madonna? I know, for many hospitals right now are not allowing visitors for obvious reasons like safety and preventing community spread. And so kind of tell me about the challenges there.
Yeah, it seemed like every week there was, not every week, every day, every hour, there was something new that new information from the CDC, new information from UNMC, from the health departments in Douglas and Lancaster counties, from the state. So there was new information to deal with just constantly. It was just like drinking from a fire hose. And like other hospitals, one of the biggest goals was to reduce the amount of people coming in our door so that we could try to stem the tide of community spread and keep our patients safe and keep our staff safe. So, the first week was only allowing one visitor. Then it was, no visitors. Then we went down to our volunteers couldn't come in anymore. And we have like 400 volunteers. We rely heavily on volunteers to get patients from their room to the therapy gym, to greet people at the front desk. We have volunteers that work here in the foundation office, people that go with patients and residents on outings or go with them to doctor's appointments in the community medical transportation vans. So they couldn't come in. Then there was students. And then finally we had to have caregivers not come in. And that's really hard because one of our core values is teaching, and another one is collaboration, and another one is hospitality. And all of those things are so important in helping our patients get back to their fullest life possible. They need to have their family and loved ones there, learning how to help them when they go home, and learning, maybe it's learning a new way to take a bath, or it's how to navigate in the kitchen or whatever. But family and caregivers are such an important part of having a successful rehab experience, and to not have them here is so hard, especially since our patients come from all over, you know, a lot of people from out of town. That's been probably the most difficult thing. The only exception is that with our children in the pediatric unit, they are allowed to have one caregiver. Everyone's masking. All of us coming in the morning, we're temperature checked, and then we go through the screening and all the screening questions. You know, we're not allowed to travel or have guests in our home that have come from other areas. There's just a lot of, you know, just like what the other hospitals are doing. So we just continually to work to kind of pull that number down of people coming in the building so we can keep the patients and staff safe. There are a number of people also working from home, if that's a possibility. I mean, obviously employees of a hospital are essential, but there are some of us that can do some work at home like everyone else out there. In our foundation office, we're actually split into two teams. So this week is my week to be in the office so that, you know, we can accept the mail and answer phones, etc. Next week I'll be back remote at home, and there's a few of us here and then a few of us at home. So I think probably similar to what everyone else is hearing.
So, question from the audience:
Yeah.
how many employees does Madonna have in Lincoln and in Omaha? Kim Haichia says your economic footprint is huge.
It is. That's a great question, Kim. There are 2,200 people that work for Madonna in Lincoln and Omaha. In Lincoln, that's about, I would say about 15 or 1,600. And we are in the top 20 of employers in Lincoln. I don't remember what the number is lately. We were 11. But yeah, we are a huge economic engine, and but while also being a nonprofit. So
if you have questions for Suzanne, feel free to put those in the chat, and I'll just keep going. So, are you having any successes right now? Like, are there any positive moments that you can think of, or are you just everyone at Madonna just keeping their head down and doing their job?
both. It's both. The successes are everyone is staying well, and that is awesome. And some of the other successes, like the community has been so great in donating. Like there's been businesses like Renza donated 10 cases of cinnamon rolls for our hospital employees, which they loved because, you know, they have the pedal to the floor and they're working so hard to keep their patients safe and occupied and healthy. And having that bit of recognition and that, you know, kind of love has been huge. So cinnamon rolls and iced coffee and donuts and flowers, and we've had some people in the community making posters to hang up around that are encouraging both for staff and for patients and residents. There's been so many good things like that, and there have been donations too. We just were made aware of a really nice donation for our Lincoln campus expansion project, and you know, that just practically brings you to tears that there's still people out there that are like rooting for you and know how important we are in the continuum of healthcare. And so yeah, we've had a lot of love too, a lot of people reaching out. And as a fundraiser, one of the things I've been doing is actually calling a lot of people that are part of our Madonna family, and everyone to a T is just, they're thankful to have some contact. They're thankful that we're reaching out, and they want to hear about what we're doing. And so we're updating them about how, you know, things are going at Madonna. And that for me says that we've done a good job of, you know, building relationships. And I grew up in Lincoln, and I'm sure there are a lot of people on the call that have grown up in Lincoln. My grandparents lived 4 blocks from Madonna. And as a kid, I always just thought of Madonna as a nursing home, but I know it's so much more. And um, I think a lot of us in Lincoln um, appreciate and have history with Madonna, family members that have been in Madonna, friends, loved ones that have been in Madonna. So um, Madonna's been grown by Lincoln. You know, the Lincoln community built Madonna. So the community should feel proud. And right now we're seeing that support again.
So, one of the things I personally have been thinking about is, because this is the stuff that you're seeing in the news, and then it makes me think of different people that we have in Lincoln, or the patients that, especially, you do have older patients at Madonna, and with no visitors,
Mm-hmm.
they're lonely,
Mm-hmm.
and the nurses can only do so much. So are there any suggestions that you have from about how the community can keep supporting the hospital, the foundation, but also the patients there that are
Mm-hmm.
sad and bummed?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, one thing that's been kind of cool is we have this fund here that supports the recreation needs of our long-term care residents. Because we, even though we're a hospital, we still have that nursing home side. And again, they're totally isolated. So one thing that a few people have done is made posters and actually scanned them and emailed them to us, and they can be printed out in nice and safe and germ-free, and then shared with the residents, which has been really nice. Another thing that it's been cool is we got them a Netflix account. So they've been watching movies, which is awesome. And then this fund that supports the recreation needs of the long-term care. I contacted our rec therapist and I said, "Hey, what if we bought some iPads?" And then it would be easy, and if we got enough of them, then some of the residents then could use that and FaceTime with family, or Skype or Zoom or however they want to do it. And that has just been like a huge success. So much fun. And then another thing, honestly, now probably I was thinking about this today. This is not a good idea to do today. But if you do have a loved one in Madonna, it's going to be muddy and wet right now. But I have seen, and my office is right outside the parking lot on this side of the building. I have seen people parking and going and going to their patient room windows, and getting on their phone and talking to their loved ones as well. And we are lucky to have a really great activities staff. And actually, even on the weekends, we are doing programming for our hospital patients. There's artwork, art supplies, there's gaming, there iPads that they can use to talk to family. They're actually for patients that are nonverbal or having trouble, like they maybe couldn't hold a device by themselves or like get set up on that. They're actually incorporating Zoom into therapy. So you might have a Zoom on your schedule for your therapy that day. So we're really trying to work hard to help them stay connected. And I had someone call the other day who was interested in helping us acquire more tablets. So that'll be a really nice thing, that we'll have more tablets to use, kind of a library of tablets that people can use.
So if someone wanted to donate or help out, how would they go about doing that?
Well, to just do a donation, they could call me at the office, 402-413-4782. They could get on Madonna.org and click on the donate button to make a financial donation. They could email me, Sughroue@Madonna.org. I mean, however works for them, that would be great. And we are fielding lots of calls and emails and contacts about how they can help.
So there's a note on here from Liz Ring Carlson,
Oh, hi, Liz.
who's our guest next week.
Yay.
And she said, Suzanne, we will add Madonna to our list of places to receive some letters from Emeritus.
Perfect.
And she's posted the link on the chat. So if you're interested in helping out, join the You're Not Alone campaign to help senior citizens. That's really fun.
Oh, thanks, Liz. That's awesome. Liz is also my neighbor, so I love that.
So, any final thoughts, or if there's any questions from the people watching, please put those in the chat, or even feel free to unmute yourself. Any final thoughts on the whole pandemic, or what's going on in Madonna?
Well, I told my brother the other day that this was the most stressful time in my professional career. It is very intense. And I think part of that is because things are changing so fast. What we know, how the virus is spreading, like what we need to do to keep our patients safe and well. But on the flip side, people have just been so generous and so loving and reaching out, and that just and collaborative, which is one of our core values. And so I'm so appreciative of our community helping us get through this. And I also think, maybe on a personal note, and since this is Leadership Lincoln, that's to talk about that kind of leadership thing. I think one of the things this also has helped me do is to even feel more nimble and more able to pivot really quick. And it's our staff is, there's a lot of professional growth that way, that we've all had to really come together and figure out how to address the problems that we've been presented and move forward. Because at the end of the day, yes, we've got to figure out those problems. At the end of the day, we still have to take care of our patients and support our staff. And we've been able to continue to do that. So it's a trying time, it's an exhausting time, but it's also a really gratifying time. And I feel like a very fortunate person when we come out on the other side of this, we're going to be a stronger organization, and hopefully I'll be a stronger leader.
Okay. So here's a couple more questions here. So what kind of partnerships, besides the UNMC physiatry residence program, what partnerships do you have in the community?
Oh, well, okay. So we also partner with Children's Hospital, and Children's in Omaha provide our pediatric, they provide our medical staff for pediatrics in Omaha. And then on our campus, there actually is, we own this building off kind of on the 56th Street side. People used to call it the old Arthritis Foundation building. It's the 2120 building. And now that houses actually a clinic for Children's Hospital, and they have specialists working there. So our kids in our Children's Hospital, and even the outpatient kids, don't have to travel to Omaha to see their pediatric specialists. That's been a huge partnership. And of course, we're so glad to collaborate with so many of our businesses in Lincoln, like Samson Construction, who's doing our expansion. They also provided us with the negative pressure machines so that we could build out those post-COVID rooms. So, we collaborate with a lot of businesses in town for we collaborate with Emeritus on our dental insurance. I mean, there's so many vendors that we couldn't do what we do without all of our vendors. Trying to think of other, I mean, there's so many. We're just gratified to be able to have the relationships what we do in the community. Department of Roads helps us with our community medical transportation. We've collaborated with Community Health Endowment and the Woods Charitable Fund and Lincoln Community Foundation. And I could just I could just talk all day about that, but there's a lot of partnerships going on. We are in a medical alliance as well with CHI, Bryan, the Omaha hospitals. We've really been collaborating on the response to the pandemic as well. So that's helpful.
Right. I've got a couple more here.
Okay.
Do you have, this is from Janet Chung. Hi,
Oh,
Janet.
hi, Janet.
Do you have any critical needs like PPE that the community can help with? And if so, where can we get info about the needs?
Okay, well, contacting the foundation is probably the best way, and we can like filter out those offers. Of course, yes, PPE. Right now we have masks, but we want to make sure that we have enough going forward. So the PPE is a critical need. We're in great shape, but we want to make sure that there's enough. Really, we have a couple organizations that have made some cloth masks, but because that we really need the medical mask, that's kind of the big thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But they can contact me at the office, and if people have ideas about things they want to do, I can help them figure it out.
Okay.
And get them to the right person.
I've got two more.
Okay.
What types of technology has Madonna developed independently and with scientists at UNL, the CB3 lab?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. We do collaborate a lot. So Dr. Judy Burnfield is the director of our research institute, and she also was at the not CB3. What's the other one? The performance lab at on the East Stadium. She was the director there as well for a time. We do work a lot with the universities, not just in Nebraska, but all over the country, collaborating on research studies and developing technology. And so probably the biggest thing that we've developed and we have patents on is our eye care, which is an intelligently controlled elliptical. And that's being sold all over North America, some in Central America, some in the European Union, Australia, China. And what it does is it's a low-cost alternative to, say, a robotic gait trainer. So that's one thing that we've developed. We have a communications lab that works with universities and then technology developers, developing ways for people to communicate if they don't have just a traditional use of their voice, maybe using it with eye gaze technology, or just if they can just move a finger, or if they can just move their head a little bit, we can help them use some technologies to communicate their needs and communicate with loved ones. So there are a lot of partnerships going on with universities, technology providers. The company that makes our eye care is Sports Art, and they make a lot of the ellipticals. And way back when, we actually studied the ellipticals to see which one most closely mimicked walking. And the eye care was that was the one. And so then that's when we started working with that too, and literally going to the hardware store and this thing was like duct tape and screws and 2x4s. And then Source One here in Lincoln with Elmer Wessel actually manufactured one for us, and then Sports Art has commercialized it for us. So see, I can't remember all the partnerships.
Okay, last question. Also, Jeannie McClure on Facebook says Madonna is a crown jewel of Lincoln. So just know that that's there.
Hey, Jeannie.
So this is from our own Dr. Bretz. What puts a smile on your face at the end of a day at Madonna?
Well, there's so many things. People ask me if it's hard to work here. That must be tough, because you do see people at their most vulnerable and in really hard situations, and they have really extreme injuries and illness, and that can be really hard. But the thing that makes me, people probably think I'm kind of morbidly, like cheerful about working here. But I know that if someone's at Madonna, this is where they stand the best chance of getting back to their best life. And so I'm so grateful and happy that they're here. And then probably the best thing is to see someone leave Madonna, you know, or you keep caught up on social media too, and you see the things they're doing when they're at home, and that's so awesome. And I'm sure you can think of some of the people that are just doing so wonderfully, and you just think, okay, I just had a little part in helping them because I helped bring some technology to Madonna, or I helped, you know, build a wing on the hospital, or, something that I helped them get better. And that is the best. And it, it's the best, the best place to be. If you're feeling bad about the world, coming to Madonna, which you can't do right now, but coming to Madonna just helps you realize there's so much hope. I guess that's the biggest takeaway. There's a lot of hope, actually.
Well, it's super refreshing that you care so much about Madonna and the work that you do there, and that all of the people working there are doing, and you care so much about the patients. It's really nice. So thank you for doing that. Thanks, Madonna, for being the hidden gem in Lincoln, the crown jewel of Lincoln, as Jeannie says. And thanks for being on here today.
Thanks so much for having me. It's, friends. It's our family.
It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, Laura. Thanks, Laura.